One question for you, Andre.
Yes.
DC and Marvel, who do you think has the better villains?
Hmm. Hmm.
Who has
Um.
the better rogues gallery? Who has the better collection of villains?
Wow. You know what? They both have stellar villains. I think the difference being, I do think that DC has more iconic villains, and that is just due in part to the the knowledge and the depth and the good stuff of Batman's Rogues Gallery. Like on Batman's Rogues Gallery alone, there's so many interesting things. Marvel, I think the problem with Marvel's villains is that too often than not, Marvel's villains end up rolling up and becoming heroes down the road, and then they're taken out of the villain pool. You know,
Well,
like I love
that's
Magneto,
yeah.
right? If Magneto was a villain all the time, I'd be like, yo, the heroes are screwed. Like this
Mhm.
is a guy that they cannot. It's going to take a ton of them to mess with, and I think that's kind of the problem with Marvel's villains. They try to get us to sympathize with them too much, and they cross over. So I would say Edge going to the DC, but with that caveat, if we could go and pick and say when they were villains, I would say they are probably on par, but yeah, Edge going slightly to DC.
That being said, we've talked about Deathstroke, who is trying to do good. We talked about Black Manta, who saved the kid in the first issue.
Hmm.
What about Marvel's Venom? He
Yes.
started out as a bad guy who is now good, and that will segue us into
Too.
our comic book spotlight of the week, which is Venom #1 by who is it again? Sorry, I don't have it written down.
This is a what we call a juggernaut of a creative team. It is written by the pair of Al Ewing and Ram V, and we've got stellar art by Bryan Hitch. And wow, I got to tell you, this team is phenomenal. There's a couple covers for #1. That's the Hitch cover there. But yeah, Ewing coming off of a stellar run from the Immortal Hulk that showed us a different side of the Hulk, turning the Hulk into this horror-esque comic book, and an amazing 50-issue run that just finished a little while ago. And we've almost got a passing or a trading of the baton because Donny Cates is going to be writing the new Hulk series, and Al Ewing is taking over Cates' Venom series. The cool thing about this Venom series is that it's taking off, or it's starting off right where Donny Cates' run left.
Yeah.
And that was the whole end with the King in Black big crossover. And now we have a brand new Venom. And it
Mhm.
is not Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock has transcended and he has become the new king of the symbiotes. And I'm like, wow, that's super damn interesting.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that they took the time in this first double-sized issue to explain that. Let me drop a couple of things here just to set up the background for me and Venom. Loved Venom as a villain, can't stand Eddie Brock as a character. And as Eddie Brock kept trying to do good, do good, do good, I was just like, I can't buy it. I can't buy it. Really like the Flash Thompson Venom. Loved that idea, but then Eddie Brock got it back, and I was like, man, let's just get rid of this guy. So Donny Cates' run, even though it was decent, I couldn't read all of it. I was just not interested, not believing the change in this character and stuff. But I'm glad he stuck through with it. And I was quite surprised, even though we knew where the series was headed. But were you surprised that they actually committed to the change and the handing over of the symbiote?
Yeah, yeah, because we have a new Venom now, and it's somebody you went. Actually, I guess we can say it because it was
We can spoil it
the,
because it's been said. Yeah.
the whole King in Black thing was about this new Venom, and it is Eddie Brock's son, Dylan, right?
Yep.
He's taking the mantle over for Venom, and my goodness, look at this picture. Doesn't he look scarier than Like he looks very scary, more scary than I can remember Eddie Brock's Venom being.
For
Right?
sure. For
I don't
sure.
know if it's the way he's drawn, but he looks scary, and I think like if we go back to this picture here, he looks very angry. Dylan looks like a very angry kid.
He's an angry, troubled kid, and I think because he's angrier from a younger stage, you're absolutely right. He could end up being a scarier Venom and stuff. And then, like I said, going back to all that cosmic stuff, there's a great image, and I think we've got it here of Venom in space. Eddie Brock now being the new King in Black, he can literally control or put his mind into other symbiotes around him, and they all worship him. He is literally, their king. So it's almost like he puts a piece of his mind in theirs, and he can operate them and stuff. So it's an interesting power, but it's also taking him away from his son, and there's a lot of resentment there and stuff. And I think that's going to cause a lot of issues. So we're going to see how, if Venom is literally this product of the symbiote feeling in a way left and abandoned by Eddie Brock, as well as the son feeling abandoned because he's off in space all the time, and he left the Venom symbiote with his son. So I think that is going to cause some major issues, because if we all know the origin of the Venom symbiote, it was really that rejection that Peter had given him that really formed that hatred in the symbiote, and the symbiote was attracted to Brock originally because of his hatred to Spider-Man. So that's how the two of them formed, and we got Venom in the first place. And of course, Donny Cates has expanded on that and talked about the planet of the symbiotes and Null, the original king of the symbiotes, and stuff like that. So I do believe this book is going to have two of those storylines kind of going at the same time. We're going to have Eddie Brock in space doing his stuff, and then we're also going to have Dylan on Earth being this new Venom and trying and getting used to the suit. But he already seems to be usurping control over the suit, and I would have thought that the suit would have been more dominant in him. So yeah, it's a very good first issue. Highly recommend it. That's why it's our spotlight book. Sometimes a book comes out and you just can't deny that it was worth the wait and worth the buzz. And that's a given. And like I said, I'm not even a big fan of Venom, but now I think I'm more of a I'm more into this because it's his son. Believe it or not, like I said, Eddie Brock just wasn't doing it for me, but I did dig, like I said, Venom when he was Flash Thompson, and digging and have the potential to really like him now with it being Dylan Brock.
Dylan seems very angry. I believe, what was it, the first few panels? It was Eddie Brock kind of talking to him, and he said, whatever happens, do not bond with the symbiote. Guess what he does?
Yeah.
Spoilers, he bonds with the symbiote.
First thing he does, yeah. And then they've got, we've got an amazing action-packed issue. And then we've got this really cool, hey, this is coming in issue 2. And as you know, one of the weaknesses of the symbiote is fire and sonic sound, right? So yeah, maybe young Dylan is bitten off more than he can chew, but definitely do not miss out on basically digging in and chewing up this book. Highly recommend it. We've got tons of copies at the shop. There's lots of covers to choose from. I should have grabbed a cover, a picture of the In Huck Lee cover. I love that one. There it is. That's so damn cool.
I think it's my favorite cover.
Yeah, so definitely pick up Venom #1, and that's by, again, Marvel Comics, Al Ewing, Ram V, and Bryan Hitch.